Hey, this is going to be the first in a small series of videos in which I tell you about a project I am going to run that hasn't got anything to do with bolt action, but it's still, miniature wargaming related. So this August, I'm going to host a 6-player game. 7 players. We have 7 right now, but potentially we could be 8. I'm going to refight the Battle of Mortimer Cross in 1461 in the Wars of the Roses. So some of you may know that I own a large collection of late medieval stuff. Also, I have a growing collection of early medieval stuff at this point, and I love my medieval stuff because I'm red-green colorblind, and this is definitely, all kinds of other stuff, right? It's bright, it's lovely, and I really enjoy painting horses. So, medieval stuff it is. It's not that I'm quitting bolt action, it's just that I'm doing other stuff as well. And the game that I'm going to host, replaying the Battle of Mortimer Cross, I'm going to post videos about that. I'm going to post videos about the system. I'm going to post hobby videos as well. All of that is coming out on this channel here. Hopefully someone will see it. And if you don't, okay, that's fine. I'm going to use a system for this called Blood and Horse Droppings by Historian in Harness, which is a sort of a reimagination of a perfect Captain's A Code of Steel, which is a defunct game that came out long ago, and A Perfect Captain has sort of dropped it. You can no longer get it on his webpage. But Historian in Harness has gotten permission to use some of his stuff, and also to make available his system called a Paper Crown. That's a sort of campaign system for the Wars of the Roses. Now, Battle of Mortimer Cross is going to be set in the borderland between England and Wales, and it's a battle between Edward the Fourth, or Edward Earl of March, who became Edward the Fourth, and Jasper Tudor, Lancaster and York. So what I need to do for that battle is I need to do quite a bit of studying, which at this point I have done, and I think potentially at some point I'll make available for you guys the setup, the battle, and what I've written, because I've written like a whole battle pack for this. What's going to happen? I'll make that available at some point if anybody wants to use it. But basically, it pits six different players as the commanders of different wards of these 2 armies. And then the potential 7th and 8th player will command some what-if reserves that could have been at the Battle of Mortimer Cross, but really didn't make it. The beautiful thing about Mortimer Cross is it's a battle that we know very little about, so I can let my imagination run wild, and we can use such a refight to sort of study what was it that actually potentially happened in real life, right? I know right now they're still looking for the actual battlefield. They don't know the battlefield, and one of the controversies is, was the battle fought north to south, or was it fought east to west? Both are possible, but we don't know. So the actual alignment of the battle, medieval battles were fought in more or less parallel lines, and it also gives me the opportunity to do quite a bit of hobbying. And today I wanted to show you what it is that I've built so far. It's not painted, but I'm getting there. So let me take you down here. So this is the medieval village that I've sort of started doing for my Battle of Mortimer Cross. Will it be useful for other stuff? Yeah, sure. I've built like 3 types of houses. On this side I've got 2 very, very small, very old style barns or, you know, grub houses. These are all made of blocks of XPS foam that I've cut, and then I've, with a pencil, just drawn in, this is, you know, supposed to be planks, wooden planks, and then just textured them a bit with a sharp knife. This is going to be painted dark, so we have an opening here. And this is, on the side here, Teddybear fur. The next part of this process that I'm going to be working on these houses is I'm going to soak this in detergent and water and PVA glue and maybe a bit of paint to have a deep layer of paint. And that will hopefully set it so that it looks a lot more like straw. So it will be straw roofings, right? Thatched roofs. So I've got 2 of these little barny things. And the thing is, I wanted some terrain that was not, you know, modern. I needed some medieval terrain. I already had a castle, which I'm going to show in another video, and I've already shown you bits of that castle. But I needed more terrain that could be used in a medieval setting. So I thought, you know, build a bunch of houses, and I can scatter them across the field. Because the actual battle we know sort of that it took place in an area where there was a bunch of roads meeting up in a cross battle, a Mortimer Cross, right? And in crossroads, there could have been, maybe would have been, a bunch of houses, a little village, or something like that. In modern day times, I believe there's a pub at that crossroads, right? So basically what I'm doing is that. Now, the second layer of houses is a little bit bigger. So these are cottages, and you can sort of see that they are a little bit Tudor style cottage, right? All of this is striped in by hand, and then the texture was made using little bits of rock. And basically this is just 3 blocks of XPS foam glued together, right? So this is one cottage, which, you know, could be a small family cottage. The style or the size certainly suggests that people would be living in this. This bit on out here could be an extension that they built at some point. It could be a tool shed or a you know, place where they keep firewood for the obvious fireplace inside. Now, not all of these have have chimneys, because not all medieval buildings would have an actual chimney. Some of them would just have a fire hole in the roof. Here we have one more, again, small cottage, and I tried to make sure that the styles of how the timber frames were done were all a little bit different. Oh, and by the way, here you can see one of my big problems. I don't actually own what's that called? One of those hot wire cutters that is fixed. A Proxon hot wire cutter, right? I have a handheld hot wire cutter, which means that my straight lines don't often get straight, but that is perfect for medieval Tudor style houses, right? That is absolutely perfect because they weren't straight. If you go and look at medieval houses, they are almost never straight, right? You can see the Teddybear fur is quite puffy. I'm hoping that a lot of PVA and a lot of smoothing down will make this less puffy, right? We shall see. Otherwise, I'll, you know, have to redo it somehow. So that's the second cottage. Again, with a little extension, and I tried to make shingles for this one so that there's a little bit of difference, like that. Here we have one that's quite different, and this I imagine to be the village smithy. Has a large opening, as many smithies would have, because they need the air to come in there, otherwise it'll get stiflingly hot. A big chimney to go with that, you know, because the fireplace is the most important bit of a smithy. Less windows in this one, because most of the light in the smithy itself would come from, you know, the fireplace. Possibly there'd be openings in the roof as well to let out smoke and stuff, but I haven't really bothered doing those. It's just shingled. I wanted to do shingles on this one though, because the fire hazard in a smithy is extreme, so I will possibly paint these up to look like shingles, like stone shingles, whereas most medieval shingles would potentially be wood. Here I tried a different technique. This is made with a roller, so you can see this is like more or less just rough hewn stones put together. I like the technique that I did for these slits here. These are not as such arrow slits. They are meant to be just light wells and places where air can get in. This building, I'm not sure what it would be. Maybe someone in the comments can tell me an idea. It has one opening, it's square, and it has one light well and a thatched roof. What would that be? Maybe something for animals? Maybe a barn? Here I took another roller that had sort of a brick texture. Again, I made a couple of light slits, a kind of a different doorway over here, a little bit of which is still gluing, so I pinned it down with a pin, a chimney, and then of course the thatched roof. There's also a window here at the end, and it's crooked as fuck. Look at that. It will basically lean, but many medieval houses did. Perfect. And the final cottage here is a mix of a brick texture and a wood frame one. Again, I'm trying very hard to make the wood frames look sort of similar, which they will, because, you know, if it's the same person drawing them in, I have a tendency to do things the same way, but I need them to look a little bit different, like they were built by maybe a different person or to different specifics, right? So I'm trying to make sure that the timber frames don't all you know, look the same. And then I have 5 larger dwellings, larger houses. So this one again has the brick structure at one end and the timber framing at the other end. I like this idea of having 2 different, because many houses would have lean-tos or, you know, have extensions built on them later on in their life when suddenly they discovered that they needed more space, or like a new family moved in or whatever. Again, here we can see the nice texture. That rocky texture makes perfect. Woo! That was very bright. Sorry about that. Right. I forgot one thing on this door though. I didn't put any supports to actually link it. These 2 doors, if you can see that. So let me get, for instance, there's a good door. The next one here. Right. On this door, you can see I have painted in the small support for the hinge, right? That sort of goes out into the door and grabs the wood and stuff. I forgot these. Well, maybe they just have a real sturdy construction on the inside, right? Lots of windows on one side, a couple of doors on the other. And one window at the end, which I still need to do a little bit of work on. I just realized now, many of the windows, I don't know if you can see that, but I used a pencil to just slightly indent them so that it looks like the window frame is a little further in than the frame is. That's going to be perfect for the painting stuff. Let me show you this next one. Again, 3 windows, different styles, making sure that it doesn't look the same, all of it. A lean-to with a door in it, right? A window. And again, I used shingles here. These are going to be wooden shingles. Another door, another window. Again, just 2 blocks of XPS foam glued together. And for me, it doesn't need to look anything like perfect. All medieval houses I've seen, maybe except for a couple in Italy where they were really good at building houses, look imperfect, right? Here we have one that's got the brick texture that was just done with a rolling pin. A couple of openings at the end. Maybe this is a large barn for animals or whatnot. And here we have a bit of the timber framing, right, on the other side. One of the difficult things was actually cutting out the teddy bear fur in the correct angle, because I needed the teddy bear fur to sort of go down so that it could illustrate the thatch, and at the same time I needed to fit the block. So I actually put the teddy bear fur on the floor, put down, and then drew around, and then cut out that with a strong pair of scissors. Here we have a very tall, very elegant timber frame building. A couple of windows and a door in this side. The end is sort of really nice with a pattern to it. The pattern is repeated, and here you can see that there is possibly 2 floors because one of the windows, there we go, is slightly higher than the other window, right? There's an extra window on this lean-to and a doorway that's very low. Most medieval doorways are very, very low. I went to a Viking Age reenactment area pretty close to where I live in Lyra, and the doorways, except for the King's Hall, are so low that you're going to have to lean down every time you go through a doorway. And I've seen that in multiple places, again with the exception of Italy and Spain, where they have really nice doorways. Most northern medieval doorways are very, very low. You're going to have to lean down. Which, by the way, let me just, for illustrative purposes, grab one of these. This is one of the guys I'm painting up for the game itself. You can sort of see, next to the doorway, he is going to have to lean down a bit to get in, which is what I want. So, perfect. Right. Final house that I wanted to show you today is this one. Again, timber framed. Again, with a little bit of detail in the timbers that go on the diagonal. A lean-to, again, with just planks. Doorways and windows are very important in some games, right? Bolt action, they become really important because where do you shoot from? Where do you go into the house? In blood and horse droppings, you wouldn't want to do that, right? The game is designed to just to take away the maneuvers, the maneuver element of warfare, because it wouldn't happen in medieval games. So basically it's down to commander choices, which is an interesting, completely different type of game in many respects. And I'm very much looking forward to that. Also very much looking forward to actually getting all my medieval stuff on the table for once. So that was it for today. I have built a village of medieval houses. XPS foam, Teddybear fur, cheap as dirt. It has taken me 4 hours to get this to this point of combined work. What took the longest was actually texturing in all of that. That took a long time because I had to sit with a rock and just texture every little bit. But it looks so cool. Anyhow, I will keep you updated on the project, and at some point there'll be a video where we refight Mortimer Cross. That's it from me today. See you next time. Cheers.